welcome back to the channel. Today we celebrate the OGA with a little spin on the OSL and fast army paint. It can't be more simple. So I'm back, sort of. Let's say the life got really in the way and the work-life balance has been really crazy these past few months, and most of the hobbying I did was just to keep my sanity in check. But I hope that the situation will settle a bit and I can maintain somewhat regular schedule. But in the meantime, let's talk something different than just the usual Games Workshop stuff. Let's talk other games April, because in all of that I actually managed to finish a very fun project. I know that for some people it makes no sense for whatever reason, but I feel like it is nice to look at other game systems and just the many flavors of Warhammer we have. And oh boy, there is a lot of other games than just what Games Workshop sells. Honestly, lately it feels like every major IP wants to cut a piece from this hobby, and some do a good job and some fail miserably. And I feel like Star Wars Legion is one of the really good ones, and is one of the few that actually get support. But enough of the chit chat, let's get painting. When I thought about what to do for OGA, I had just Luke Skywalker in my mind, because that was the only mini I had from the Legion. Then I started painting and watching some stuff online for the game, and before I knew I had full force of Rebel Scum. Yeah, it got a little bit crazy. So let's start with them. These models are really nice, but in comparison with the GW plastic they are very simple. I feel like the focus in this game is more to paint it fast and play than to really take the time and make each and every mini display piece. So that is what I wanted to do. Easy speed painting guide to get about 500 points of rebels on the table. But that does not mean we're gonna just phone it. These models are simple, but if you focus on just one major thing about them, then you can make quite a nice coherent force on the battlefield. With the batch painting like this, it is nice to make some kind of handles. So here I have every squad on a piece of plastic with some double-sided tape. This makes the models stick when I handle them and makes it easier for a batch painting. So I primed the models black, and first thing I did was to dry brush them heavily with buff Scalecolor artist paint. Zenithal might be an option, but the models are somewhat heavily textured, so the dry brush takes advantage of that, and if you focus your passes of the brush in the same direction downwards, then it works pretty much like a Zenithal highlight. Also, this gives me a first idea about what I want from these models. I wanted the models quite muted and dirty, so they are somewhat realistic, but also cartoonish if it makes a little bit sense. I thought about doing the snow scheme from Empire, but these models feel more like the Rebel series to me, so I used the buff dry brush as a base coat for the uniforms, to get the warm brownish, almost creamy color. I also did just a subtle pass of off-white over the models, just to get the highest values. To get the result I had in my mind, I went for oil paints, and did this heavy wash with dark ochre over the clothes. I did the application for all the models. I let it dry for a few minutes and then went in with a makeup sponge and removed most of the paint from the upper surfaces. I did all of the models at the same time, so by the time I was done, the first models dried, so the process was very fast. I used a little bit of medium to really get the paint from the most of the cloth and leave just a heavy stain in the inner folds and recesses. I wanted to do the same with the backpacks and vests, but first I tried a classic acrylic black wash, but the result was somewhat bad, so I used the oils again, with the same approach. This plus the next step over the black part gave me a nice temperature contrast over the models. The warm brown of the uniforms contrasting with the cold-ish black of the backpacks and vests. Now if you use oils in this volume, you need to do a coat of varnish, so you can actually work over the oily surface. So I put a nice coat of matte varnish over the whole army. This step does mute the colors a little bit, but at this moment the only paints I have on the model is brown and black, so it does not really matter, but for something more artsy I would be more careful with this application. First, I wanted to finish the walkers. For the metallic parts I did just a very light dry brush with Arctic Blue Scalecolor Artist over the legs and body of the walker. This is nice bluish gold grey, which is very nice for an easy metallic finish of the texture surface. I tone it down a little with a standard black acrylic wash all over it. For the front armor I used an Orc Skin and a lizard green express paint and wet blended them together on the surface, so it would get this masked finish on the front of the machine. It is an easy step and I kinda like it because it gives the walkers a little life, let's say, but by the way, all the colors are in the description down below. Now to finish the uniforms. I used again the buff paint by Scalecolor artist and used it as mostly heavy edge highlight for all the folds and wrinkles of the cloth, leaving still a lot of the brown oil in the inner folds. This was probably the most time consuming part of the whole paint job, but it is very relaxing and intuitive process. For the black parts I used pastel blue to highlight the backpacks and vests, but also the las guns. For larger volumes I did it by dry brush, but for smaller I used just a normal brush. This is the step I talked about earlier, which gave me even more temperature contrast in the paint job. But with that the clothes are basically done. And that is most like the majority of the models, so this paint job is really fast. What I love about the original movies is the squadron names, especially the color ones. It is a little thing, but I remember loving it since I was a child, so every unit gets their own squadron color. So blue, red and yellow for the troopers and green for the walkers to match with their camouflage. Also, every squadron has this alien guy. I have no idea what race he is. If you do know, let me know down in the comments below. But he really reminds me of Cad Bane, which is like one of the coolest characters from the whole Star Wars series, so blue hat it is. I did easy darker tone with lighter highlights and red eyes to make them look menacing like Cad does. What is missing are the faces of the rest of the troopers, and here I was almost lazy. I must confess I tried some skin tones, but the best results was just with the easy coat of Guillimans flesh straight out of the bottle, highlighted with light skin from Scalecolor artist. But with that, the troopers are ready for battle. But that is not all, because we still have the big man himself. I was kinda hesitant which look I want to portray, but I decided on the episode 5 look. Mostly because that is what this model is obviously from, but also because I probably like this version of look the most. And also it does work with the scheme of the rest of the troopers. I wanted to do the dirty off-white overall he has in the Cloud City. Here I started from the full zenithal highlight and I followed with series of very thin washes of Dwarf Skin, Orc Skin and Space Grey, all by Vallejo. I wet blended them on the model into this colorful dirty mess of a finish that is sort of similar to the reference picture. The rest of the clothes is fairly simple. Just brown contrast on the boots, black wash over the pistol belt and pouches, and brown over his hair. I gave him the same skin treatment as the rest of the force. So again, Guilliman flesh with light skin as a highlight. And the same treatment goes for the uniform. Here again I did the highlights with buff, but more subtle and more glaze-like consistency. So the color of the base coat is still visible in the finished piece. Now the most important part of any Jedi is the lightsaber. And I did not want just a lightsaber, but I wanted a little bit of OSL around the sword. Again, this is very simplified just for the purpose of getting the model done super fast. The lightsaber is super easy. I just build up layers of blue all the way into highly pigmented light blue ink, but I also left some parts dark just for the contrast. So in the end it looks like the sword has 4 light faces and 4 dark faces when you rotate it, but from basically every angle you can see at least 1 light and 1 dark face. God, I hope this makes sense. But at the same time, as I did the sword, I did the OSL on the hair, face and arms. Again, going from basically dark blue shadows all the way to the bright highlights with the blue ink. It is not as prominent as it would be on a darker scheme or if we were working on a more reflective material like a metal. But it looks the part and I like it, so there it is. I finished the force with a very simple base, mostly consisting of browns and greens. It makes most sense from the camouflage point of view of the walkers, but again, it gives nice green element to the whole paint scheme. And it is the same reason for the green rims. Yeah, I know it's crazy. And here are the final results. This was a super fun project and I'm really happy to share it with you. I know I have not posted anything in a while, but this is hopefully a project that gets me on a somewhat regular schedule. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know in the comments or leave a like. And subscribe if you want to support the channel. It means a lot to me. And with that, I will see you very soon. Bye.